Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's weather forecast, we'll be going over a massive northeast snowstorm that could bring up to 2 feet of snow for parts of the northeast. Another powerful west coast storm will bring more flooding rain and heavy snow early on this week across the west coast. And then an active weather pattern will continue through the second half of March. All that and much more in this video. If you guys are not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on all of my daily weather forecast updates each and every morning at 9 a.m. on this channel. I cover Canada, the United States, and the tropics during tropical weather season. So hit the subscribe button down below, everybody. I definitely appreciate it. Also hit the like button, the thumbs up button down below the video. It definitely helps to get all of this information out to as many people as possible, and I definitely appreciate all the likes out there. But going back over the past 3 days, this is your snowfall accumulation across the United States, and it has largely been pretty active across the Pacific Northwest, the Sierra Nevada out here into California, and all across the northern and northeastern United States over the past 3 days. And you definitely see a nice swath of snow here from about 5 to 8 inches or more from the Dakotas down through Minnesota there, Wisconsin, parts of northern Illinois, and into western portions of Michigan over the past 3 days. And even some areas here into the Sierra Nevadas. As you go up into higher elevation, we actually saw over 60 inches of snow the past 3 days in those higher elevations. And we'll actually be adding to those totals. So stick around on this video. I will show you how much snowfall additionally we could see across these areas moving forward. But first, we're going to talk about the northeast snowstorm. This is going to be a massive snowstorm, the likes of which we haven't seen across the northeast all year. So we have that low pressure system sitting at a 1001 millibar here this afternoon, just off the east coast here of North Carolina. That will quickly strengthen to a 977 millibar low right near the coastline just off of Cape Cod there by Tuesday afternoon, and then slowly meander off to the north and east, still as a strong, powerful 986 millibar low by the time we get to at least Wednesday afternoon on March 15th here this week. So what is this going to bring for impacts? Well, we do have winter storm watches here in the blue, winter storm warnings in the pink here. This does include eastern New York State, southern portions of Vermont here getting toward the New Hampshire region, western and central portions of Massachusetts, and northwestern Connecticut. And I do think these winter storm warnings will be expanding. Many of these winter storm watches, I do think, will turn over to these pink areas of winter storm warnings later on today as we get closer towards this system. And the reason for that, here starting at noon today, we got rainfall down here across New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania, and farther south, places like Delaware, Maryland, and even portions of Long Island will be seeing all rain. But farther north and west from there, the colder air will try to win out from the north. It will struggle initially by the noon time frame. As we get through this evening, again, that cold air is still struggling to reach it to the I-95 corridor, so primarily rainfall and moderate rain at times from New Jersey up through New York City there, including Long Island, getting up through Connecticut and even up towards Boston. All rain through this evening. The snowfall will likely be flying up there toward Albany, New York, the Buffalo region, portions of Pittsburgh as we get through this evening. And then as we go through this evening as well, you definitely see the warmer air getting fetched up and over this low pressure system here on the eastern side. These temperatures right along the I-95 corridor will be in the upper 30s. But watch as we go to Tuesday morning now. Tomorrow morning on the 14th, we start to see the colder air win out, and we have 32, 33, even 34 degrees for temperatures right along that I-95 corridor there from northern New Jersey through parts of New York City and then on up toward Boston by Tuesday morning. And what that will do is will lead to some dynamic cooling with this system aloft, and then all that wet snow with those wet snowflakes will be reaching all the way down to the surface, including the New York City area, parts of Long Island, down into northern and central New Jersey, and all the way up toward Boston as well. And make no mistake about it, it's going to be snowing here into New York State, southern Vermont, southern New Hampshire, and up toward coastal Maine by 10 a.m. a.m. on Tuesday. That will continue largely throughout the entirety of the day on Tuesday. By the time we get into 7 o'clock Tuesday night, we got this strong 979 millibar low pressure center just off the east coast there of Cape Cod, and that is definitely going to be spelling out some very strong winds and some very heavy snow bands. And check out the winds coming in out of the northeast here by Tuesday evening. We're going to be mixing down some of these stronger winds here. Where you see the oranges, the reds, and even the darker reds, that's where we could be experiencing 40, 50, even close to 60 mile per hour winds with this system. So we definitely have to watch out for maybe even an upgrade to blizzard warnings as we get closer toward this event on Tuesday evening and even into Wednesday morning. That's still having a 986 millibar low just off the east coast. Still, that heavy snow will be lingering up here toward Caribou, Maine, portions of Vermont, New Hampshire, and then back into New York State. But we'll start to see a little bit more lingering snow showers farther west you go, again toward Pennsylvania. We'll start to see those taper off going through Wednesday morning. And then by Wednesday evening, again, from west to east, we'll see the snow showers taper off, and eventually we'll see that system come to an end by Thursday. So now through Thursday time frame, this is your total snowfall accumulation across the Northeast. Many of the areas here into eastern New York State, southern Vermont, southern New Hampshire, and much of Massachusetts here, northwestern Connecticut, you guys can expect over a foot of snow. It's going to be a sharp gradient on the southern end of the system for where we go from 6 inches or more of snow to less than an inch. So definitely a very sharp gradient with those snowfall totals. You go all the way down into southern New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland. It is all rain mainly for you guys down here going through this week. And just to pick out a few cities here, these are my snowfall predictions across some of the bigger cities in the Northeast. I think Albany, New York, you're going to be the big winners up here with 12 to 18 inches of snow. Boston and Hartford here, I think you guys will see about 5 to 8 inches. Providence, Rhode Island, about a good 3 to 5 inches of snow there. New York City, including Long Island, I think you'll see around 1 to 3 inches. And then farther south into Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, a coating to an inch is all that you'll be able to muster, I think, from this system going forward. But as we go through the rest of the day, that's not the only system we're watching. Back off to the west, we got another troublemaker out here, and that's going to be bringing more rain and more heavy snow, and unfortunately, more flooding to the west coast, and that actually continues in through the day on Tuesday and even on Wednesday as well before that ends going into Thursday across portions of the west coast. So the setup here, we have that 1004 millibar low well off the coast here this afternoon. This isn't going to be that big of a deal for California unless you live in Northern California or portions of Western Oregon or Washington. You may have some rain and snow showers, but the real strength from this system moves in by Tuesday, especially Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday evening as this crashes into the west coast as a 996 millibar low here, bringing some onshore flow, very strong winds, and yes, we are definitely going to be seeing some very heavy rain and snow with this system by Tuesday evening. And then that system moves quickly off to the east, right along the front range of the Rockies as a 994 millibar low in eastern Colorado by Wednesday afternoon on the 15th. So what are we seeing here with this rain and snow? Again, going through the day today, this is noon time frame, some rain and snow across western Washington state, western Oregon, and northwestern California. Again, as you go up in elevation, you're going to see the heavier snowfall. Farther down in elevation, you're going to see more of the rainfall, especially along the coastal regions there, even down towards Portland, Oregon. That will start to move its way farther south with some of the precipitation more, across northern California by this evening at 9 o'clock. And then by the time we get into Tuesday morning, as you're headed off to work or school across the west coast, you're definitely going to be seeing lots of rain showers moving in here across northern and central California, right along the Sacramento Valley there by 6 a.m. on Tuesday. And look at all of the moisture that this system brings up with it. This is an atmospheric river here with all these blue shaded colors. That's 4 inches above climatology with those precipitable water values out there. So definitely seeing some very heavy rain and snow being wrung out here like a rag across the west coast. And look at that, by Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock as you're getting ready for dinner out here, we're going to see some very heavy rain, very heavy snow. And since we've had a lot of flooding recently, it's not going to take a lot of water or a lot of rainfall to produce even more significant flooding. So we'll definitely have have to watch that on Tuesday before the system slowly starts to move off to the east on Wednesday, primarily more of a snowmaker for California, although we could still have a little bit of some trouble down here toward Los Angeles with that atmospheric river still moving in there with heavy rain on Wednesday. But looking at the total rainfall accumulation across the Pacific Northwest, this goes all the way through Friday the 17th of this week. And you see the heaviest hit areas with the rainfall will be the west coast here of Washington, Oregon, and especially northern California. Some of these areas could be over 4 inches of rain going straight through the end of the week on Friday, March 17th. And as we move farther south into California, a lot of the coastal areas will be feeling the effects of this system moving in on Tuesday. As we see the most of our rainfall Tuesday into Wednesday, a lot of these coastal areas will see 1 to as much as 4+ inches, and especially even those Sierra Nevadas definitely going to see over 6 inches of rain in some of those areas through the week as well, and that is going to lead to more flooding. So today into tomorrow, we got that slight to moderate risk for flash flooding really centered across northern California into southwestern Oregon. And then that moves farther south toward the middle of the week on Tuesday, March 14th into Wednesday, March 15th, with that moderate risk across the Sierra Nevadas for flash flooding, and also coastal California down there towards San Francisco and Santa Barbara as we get towards the middle of the week. And just to refresh your memory on what a moderate risk for flash flooding means, it means numerous flash floods are likely. And it doesn't mean that some significant flash flooding is definitely possible with the moderate risk days here for flash flooding. Many streams may flood, potentially affecting larger rivers as well. So you definitely want to be mindful of that if you are traveling across the West Coast. But other than that, the system will be producing heavy snow. So definitely some more beneficial snow up here across the ski resorts in the Pacific Northwest, central Idaho, western portions of Wyoming, Salt Lake City area, back into Oregon, Washington State, and even northern California. These areas will see well over a foot of snow, potentially even over 2 feet going through the Friday, March 17th timeframe. We move farther south, the Sierra Nevadas are going to get absolutely crushed again, and probably getting close to, if not setting, all-time records for snowfall in 1 year out here across portions of the Sierra Nevadas, as we're approaching 4 feet in some of these areas through the week. So definitely a lot more snow going forward. But then we got to talk about the southeast. So while we're seeing the snow and the rain out west and the snow in the northeast, what about the southeast? Well, we do have actually freeze watches and warnings across the Tennessee Valley here, including Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas as well, as we see some colder air moving in by Wednesday morning. These are your low temperatures on Wednesday morning, March 15th this week, and you see some of these low temperatures into the middle, upper 20s, even some lower 30s down here as far south as southern Georgia, central Alabama, into central Mississippi. And as we zoom it in here, so places like Nashville, you might drop down to about 26 degrees by Wednesday morning. Knoxville down here to 25. Asheville, North Carolina, you could be approaching the teens, especially in those higher elevations of the Appalachian chain. Getting into western North Carolina, and even here in the Atlanta metro area, we might be actually getting down to about 29 or 30 degrees to wake up the morning on Wednesday. So definitely bundle up if you live across the Tennessee Valley, the Carolinas, or the Deep South as we get in toward the middle of the week. But then we have to track our next storm system across the middle of the country. So the same system that's moving across California on Tuesday into Wednesday, by Wednesday evening, that low pressure system will see surface cyclogenesis just off the front range of the Rockies as a 994 millibar low. It's definitely going to be producing some heavy rain out here into Utah, Arizona, portions of western Colorado, especially into the Rockies. Going to see some very heavy snow from this Wednesday evening. By the time we press into Thursday afternoon, that low starts to move quickly to the northeast, western Iowa, with that low pressure system as a 995 millibar low there. And again, a deep warm sector with this system. We do have to watch out for some snow on the backside. We'll have some amounts with this on my video tomorrow, but definitely a few inches are possible from this as we get in toward Thursday afternoon. But looking on the warm side of the system primarily, it does look pretty deep, far and wide with the warm sector, all the way up into at least the lower Midwest and the southern Great Lakes with those 50s and 60s out here. We could be approaching 60 degrees in Des Moines, Iowa, even the Omaha area, and even some 70s widespread across Oklahoma, Texas, and the Gulf Coast by Thursday afternoon. And looking at the dew points, it is limited moisture, especially this time of year. Again, upper 50s to low 60s for the dew points down here in the southeastern portions of Oklahoma and East Texas, but it will be just enough combined with some wind shear. This is from the surface all the way up to the mid-levels in the 500 millibar layer. You definitely have some wind shear to contend with some of that instability by Thursday evening, and that is why the Storm Prediction Center has actually issued a slight risk or a 15% area for severe weather across eastern Oklahoma, northeast Texas. This does include Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and the DFW Metroplex on over here towards Shreveport, Louisiana, and Texarkana by the time we get into Thursday, especially Thursday afternoon and evening. And you see by Thursday evening, we're going to have a couple of lines of storms with primarily damaging winds and large hail, but even a few spin-up tornadoes are definitely possible. So we'll have to watch out for that on Thursday evening. But farther north with the cold air, northern Minnesota, the Twin Cities on northward toward Duluth there, northern Wisconsin, getting into the UP of Michigan and on over toward Ontario, we're definitely going to be seeing some heavier snow flying for you guys by Thursday evening. But then again, on the warm side of the system, as it progresses farther to the east on Friday, we may have another marginal, it's a slight risk day for severe weather down here across portions of Mississippi, central and southern Alabama, getting into western Georgia by Friday. We'll have to wait and see what the Storm Prediction Center decides to do with that day for the severe weather. But it does look like an ongoing day of squall lines of storms with damaging winds, possibly some large hail, especially some heavy rainfall with this as the system really slows down as it reaches the northern Great Lakes on Friday evening. And then by Saturday afternoon, that system is still up here across the Great Lakes, but the cold front will be off the East Coast. Maybe some showers and storms down here into northern and central Florida for places like Jacksonville Beach, Orlando, and the Tampa area by the time we get into Saturday afternoon on March 18th. The system will be producing some heavy rain. Make no mistake about it. In the warm sector, reaching the Midwest and the Great Lakes, the system will be producing heavy rain, especially where we see the stronger storms down here in the Arklatex from East Texas, southeastern Oklahoma, into central Arkansas and northern Louisiana. In these purple shaded colors, we could easily see 2 inches worth of rain into that Thursday, Friday time frame, and that is concerning for slight risk for flash flooding, as we've seen a lot of rainfall down here in recent memory as well. So definitely have to watch out for that on Thursday into Friday. And then that moves off to the east with that cold front and low pressure system on Friday into Saturday, the end of the next weekend's time frame. And we're definitely going to be seeing some 1 to 2 inch rainfall amounts across portions of the southeast and into northern Florida by the time we get towards Saturday, March 18th. And again, that does call for the risk of at least a marginal threat for flash flooding from the Atlanta metro area down here towards portions of Mobile, Alabama, Tallahassee, New Orleans. You guys could be seeing at least a low-end chance for some isolated flash flooding going in towards this upcoming weekend. But beyond there, the long-range weather pattern does look colder, predominantly through that third week in March, all the way through March 22nd. So if you're looking for any warmer temperatures, well, you're going to have to wait just a little bit longer, as it does look colder across all of the lower 48 going through the 22nd of the month. And you definitely see that big spill of cold air on Sunday next weekend here and the 19th time frame, with these 10 to even 20 degrees below normal temperatures for this time of year. Remember, it's March, so it's not January, so we're not seeing 30 degrees below zero wind chills, but we're certainly going to be seeing some cold temperatures, that is for sure. And then by the time we get into the middle of the following week, on the 22nd, we'll start to modify some of the air out here and get rid of some of the colder air for the March as we start to see a transition in the weather pattern. But looking at that, again, it does look active across the West Coast, the Pacific Southwest, especially California, Nevada, down here through Arizona, and even southern Florida could be active as well. Drier than normal across the Great Lakes into the Northeast going through the 22nd of March. And again, looking at the jet stream into the third week in March, centered around that Tuesday, March 21st timeframe, it looks like predominantly the subtropical jet will win out here. So it looks like a lot of these storms will stay across the south for the most part, getting into the third week in March. And again, most of the country, it does show above normal precipitation, but you see the enhancement to some of that precipitation farther south. So places like the desert Southwest, California, Nevada, and especially the Southeast and even the Southern Plains will likely see more rain than the north as we head through that third week in March and actually getting toward the last few days of March going through the 26th of the month. So definitely going to be seeing an active time moving ahead. And again, the weather forecast recap, a massive northeast snowstorm with up to 2 feet of snow possible in some areas there, especially west of Boston over toward the Albany, New York region going through this week. Another powerful west coast storm will bring more flooding rain and heavy snow to the west coast. Do be mindful of that going through the week. And then a very active weather pattern does continue through the second half of March, especially across the southern United States, with an active subtropical jet bringing more flooding rain and possibly some episodes of severe weather through the end of March. Well, thanks guys, everybody, for watching. I definitely appreciate it. Remember to like the video down below, leave any comments, questions, and concerns below as well. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great Monday, everybody, a great start to your work week, and I will see you all in the next video.